Bonjour again. This month we have looked at instances of giving that have come out of the Old Testament. So what does the New Testament have to say about giving? In Matthew 25, Jesus gives us a perspective on this topic. For I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. When we read these verses, we can see that Christian giving is about more than just money. When we determine what we have to give, we can look at everything in our lives as something that can be used to serve God and others. Our time and attention, our possessions and money, even our energy. In these verses from Matthew 25, the giver took the time and effort to fulfill all of the other person's exact needs. This is a sign of care and love for the person in need. Our giving, whether it is to the church or to someone in need, should always be motivated by love, our love for God and our love for our neighbor. When love is our foundation, we can have a completely new perspective on giving. It is no longer just focused on putting some money in the offering box or making a yearly visit to help in the soup kitchen. Instead, it becomes about investing in relationships. We love God, and so we want to invest in our relationship with Him and the future of His church. We love our neighbor, and so we want to invest our relationships with them. When our relationships with others are based on love and they function the way God intends them to, then we flourish and can bring glory to Him. We demonstrate our love for God and others when we give. Our guiding example for how to love is God Himself, because God is love. It follows then that He should also be our example for how to give. God is always the giver. He gives without calculation. He gives without expecting anything in return. He gives because He loves us. God's giving and love is perfectly displayed in Jesus Christ. Throughout Jesus' life, we see the compassion and love that He had for the needs of those around Him. He gave everything. Ultimately, He gave His life because He loved God. He is the embodiment of God's love towards us. So, if we truly have the love of God, then we also have to be those who give it. We should remember the words of the Lord Jesus. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Don't let yourselves be limited in honoring God and demonstrating your compassion towards the needs of others. Thinking about God's love for us stirs up wonderful feelings. He is the only one who is able to perfectly love us, even with our weaknesses and imperfections. He is the only one who can perfectly forgive us over and over because of His love for us. Knowing this, we cannot help but feel joy and love in return. So, why should these feelings of love prompt us to give? Again, we can look to Jesus' words to help answer this question. In John 13, He says, "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another." However, we do not love others only out of obedience to a command, but we also love them out of the overflow of the love that God has poured into our hearts. When we know and experience the love of God, we cannot help but share it with each one that we meet. Our offerings and our giving demonstrate this love that we feel. We have an opportunity to express this love in the upcoming Thanksgiving season through our individual Thanksgiving offerings. Humbleness also prompts our giving. We recognize that we are unworthy to receive all that God has given us. And so in humbleness, we respond in love towards our God and our neighbors. This type of love prompts us to give freely from what we have been blessed with. We choose to give because of His amazing love and grace. Individually and as a congregation, we can see and respond to the needs of the church and also the needs of others with the compassion and love of God. Together we can share God's merciful love with a world which we ourselves received freely and undeservedly through Christ.